So we tested them on several parameters. One being so they got a math test and a reading test. They improved on the math test, but not on the reading test. They got several cognitive memory tests. So one of them being one card memory test. They had to remember finding their way through a labyrinth and all of these things. So different cognitive tests in addition. And then we had some motor ability tests. Just to finish off very quickly now, because I'm... how to improve memory is one of the issues which always comes up. And quite a good answer to it is in this quite new book, which I would really recommend if you want to find out how to do it. It's written by Joshua Furr here, who, as part of this book, he's a journalist, but he decided that he wanted to find out if it's possible to train your memory to be really good at memorizing things. So he's interviewing a lot of people who are very good at remembering things. It's also interviewing people who have lost their memory. So he goes through the whole story of memory and what it is, and also has HM's story and many other stories in here. But then the really interesting thing here is that he decides to take part in a competition, memory competition, and apparently I didn't know this beforehand, but there are memory competitions going on all over the world where people compete in being the best at remembering things. So there are different things you have to do. One of them being to remember a deck of cards, 52 different cards, in the order that they are within as short a time as possible. And so he contacts some of the people who are already competing on memory and ask them how best to do this. So he gets all the tricks of how to build a good memory. And one of the main ways of doing it is to sort of build a memory castle. So in your head, to have a specific geographic location where you can put the different objects, and then all you have to do is to walk into that castle or building structure that you have made in your memory, and then you can just look around and find things where you put them, so that you sort of organize it in that way. Another way of doing it is if you sort of have a specific walk that you do every day from work to home, you can sort of memorize where you're going, and then you can put objects in different places there. Another way, if you have to remember a lot of numbers, is to associate different people with different numbers, and you can then have different actions associated with these different people, designating other numbers. And then you end up with funny things like Michael Jackson, doing a tambourine together with a monkey or whatever. And that gives you an image which is a specific number. So all you have to do to begin with is to associate the numbers with a person, and then you end up with these bizarre visual images, which are then relatively easy to remember. After having learned all of these ways of creating a good memory, and what he's very keen on pointing out is that he's just an ordinary guy, nothing special about it. But he actually wins the competition. So after just a few months of training using these tricks, he ends up winning the competition and beating several of other people who have been doing this and who are sort of members of Mensa and other highly intelligent clubs. So the message here is that that's all bullshit. If you want to be good at doing some of those tests that they're doing, you can train for it, and you can go in and you can score an intelligence quotient of quite a high number doing any of those tests, because it's all trainable if you learn all of these tricks. That's one way of doing it. That's also what people like Garry Kasparov is doing. because for many of us, they must be enormously intelligent people, but in reality they are not really. What they're very good at is remembering things that are relevant to them. So several experiments have been done with chess players, including Garry Kasparov. So people like him are able to remember 20 games at a time from pure memory. So they can play blindfolded against 20 different players at a time and usually win most of the games. So they can memorize the board and visualize it in their brain and remember 20 at a time. The problem is that if you show them just randomly placed pieces which make no sense in chess, they're not able to remember it better than any of us. It's only because it fits in to the registry that they have, that this is similar to whatever game that I played in 1980, or this is the typical Indian opening or whatever. So it's all part of it. It fits in. And therefore, it's easy to remember in the brain. He doesn't remember all of the different pieces on the board. He's just remembering the content, the context of where this game sort of fits in. And that's the way that I think we need to also think when we want to improve our memory, we have to put it into context. And that's the trick that you have to do. If you cannot relate what you're learning now to something that you've already learned and put it into that context, it's much, much more difficult to remember it. If it makes no sense, you have to sort of learn everything from scratch and learn every piece without actually understanding its context. So it's all about context in order to improve your memory, what this is concerned. The last thing is also to make the shortcut, which is to take a pill. This is one of the things that one of the groups should look into for Thursday. Hopefully we will be able to do it on Thursday, otherwise on Tuesday. There are quite a lot of drugs available now which can at least increase your ability to learn and also remember things. Some of them are developed for treatment of Alzheimer's disease. None of them are probably all that effective in healthy subjects, but it's something we can discuss. What is certain is that there's going to be much more of these drugs coming on the market within the next years. And it's an increasing problem that students, especially in the States, are taking them as part of their examinations. There has been, it was in one of the newspapers a couple of weeks ago, a Danish survey showing that about 20% of students are already buying these drugs through the internet in preparation for their examinations. So statistically, at least one or two of you are doing it.